Welcome to the flip side of the moon. Every 90 minutes, a giant metal creature silently circles Earth, is the size of a football field, weighs as much as a fully loaded Boeing 747, and travels at 28,000 kilometers per hour. And the strangest part? It shouldn't exist. Because the International Space Station, humanity's first permanent home in space, was built by countries that couldn't even agree on what to call a football field. Yet somehow, against politics, physics, budgets, and basic common sense, we built the most expensive, most complicated, and most improbable machine in human history. This is the story of how the International Space Station almost didn't happen repeatedly, and why it's still up there, stubbornly orbiting the Earth 3 decades later. The idea of a giant space station wasn't new. NASA had been dreaming about it since the 1960s. But dreaming is cheap. Building a 420-ton laboratory is not. By the 1980s, NASA proposed Space Station Freedom, a massive American led outpost. Congress took one look at the price tag and said, absolutely not. Try again, but cheaper. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union had its own stations, Salyut and Mir, proving long term space living was possible. But then the Soviet Union collapsed, and Russia suddenly had bigger problems in orbital real estate. So in the early 1990s, something miraculous happened. The United States and Russia, two nations that tried to outspace each other, decided to build a station together. This was like Pepsi Cola and Coca Cola teaming up to make a soft drink. Unthinkable, but it happened. The new plan was simple: take NASA's space station Freedom, combine it with Russia's Mir 2, add contributions from Japan, Europe, and Canada, steer vigorously, and hope it doesn't explode. The result was a design so complex, the engineers joked it looked like someone had shaken a box of Lego over a blueprint. But it worked. In 1998, the first two modules, Russia's Zarya and NASA's Unity, were launched and connected into orbit. This was the cosmic equivalent of building a house by throwing the foundation in the sky and hoping the walls would show up later. Over the next decade, astronauts assembled the International Space Station piece by piece during more than 1,000 hours of spacewalks. Imagine doing construction work while wearing a giant balloon suit, floating upside down, and trying not to drift into the void. Somehow, they pull it off. And it's home to experiments that can't be done anywhere else. From growing protein crystal to studying how fire behaves in microgravity, the ISS is essentially a 150 billion science fair project, but one that actually matters. The ISS is the world's most awkward roommate situation. The US and Russia jointly operate the station, Europe, Japan, and Canada contribute modules, robotics, and science. Everyone shares the same bathrooms, and despite political tensions on Earth, the ISS has remained a rare bubble of cooperation. Astronauts and cosmonauts work together, eat together, and occasionally prank each other. Because even in space, humans are still humans. The station has survived budget cuts, diplomatic crises, and aging hardware that was never meant to last this long. It's basically the space version of a 1990s laptop that somehow still boots up. Today, the ISS is the largest structure ever built in space. It orbits Earth 16 times a day, traveling more than 4.2 billion kilometers since launch, the equivalent of flying to Neptune and back. It's a miracle of engineering, a triumph of international cooperation, and a reminder that humans can do extraordinary things when we're not busy arguing. The International Space Station shouldn't exist, but it does. And every time it passes overhead, a bright dot racing across the sky, it's proof that impossible things become possible when we build them together. So the next time you look up and see that tiny moving star, remember, it's not just a machine, it's a promise that even in a world full of conflict, we can still create something beautiful as long as we're willing to reach a little higher. In the meantime, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.